Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for having me here and giving me the opportunity to speak a couple of minutes about the work that we are doing right now on the marine spatial planning in Belgium, in the Belgian part of the North Sea. I'm particularly glad to be here today because I'm a scientist myself, and I've always had high hopes that science could contribute also to politics, not only through myself, but also through all the knowledge that's being generated and being used also afterwards in policy making. And so, therefore, I'm very happy to be here today and to see all the very interesting talks, discussions, and posters which are ongoing and which will help us also develop further, for example, the marine spatial planning in Belgium. Some facts and figures about our North Sea, but most of you are very much aware that we are living near a sea which is not so big. It's actually the size of a normal province in Belgium, but it is one of the most used sea routes in the world, one of the most heavily trafficked that is taking place there. But it is also an economic lifeblood for the country. It is important to our Flemish ports, to our Belgian ports. It's also, at this moment, already the largest source of renewable energy. So also there a lot of investment is going on in the North Sea. And it has also a growing importance when we look at how we are going to continue our food chain over the next couple of years. So we have, as a country, invested heavily also in this blue economy, not only in shipping, but also in tourism and recreation. Fishery has always been an integral part of the Belgian economy, although over the last couple of years it has declined significantly. Dredging, we are, as a Belgian company, is very much known across the world for dredging, but also ship repair, wind energy, and other activities in the North Sea. And directly and indirectly, this generates up to 50,000 jobs for the Belgian economy. And it is still growing. We see that the blue economy in Belgium, but across the globe actually, is growing, and we're trying to take our fair share out of that. And so we see a lot of developments. We see bigger ships, we see much more aquaculture, we see maybe the potential to build artificial islands before our coast, for example. A lot of people are coming up with some brilliant ideas, which sometimes cost a lot of money, but also sometimes really lead to true innovations for our country. And the question then becomes, of course, when all these new activities have to take place on the North Sea, how are we going to manage this? How are we going to make sure that all these activities can take place in a regulated fashion, with respect also for all the ecological and nature things that we want to preserve also in our North Sea. So a lot of different stakeholders which are active, and the question then becomes quite simply, how do you do your stakeholder management, which activities do you allow, and which activities do you provide room for on the North Sea. The first marine spatial plan that was developed, and that's actually the way that we are handling this, we're building marine spatial plans to make sure that we have for the next couple of years a clear vision of what we can develop in the North Sea. The first marine spatial plan was actually drawn up for the Great Barrier Reef already in 1981. And of course, what would happen and what would be good there could also be used for our North Sea. So, three University of Ghent research team initially came together with other stakeholders to develop a scientific methodology to make sure that we also make the right choices when we develop this marine spatial plan. What was important from the start there is also something that I'm really pushing to continue right now in the development of our new marine spatial plan, is that is interdisciplinarity. Multifunctionality, but also the public participation. We want to have stakeholder input from all sides, from as different sides as possible, to make sure that we can make the right decisions based on the scientific knowledge of today. And of course, it has also provided, this is also something that's important, is our Belgian marine spatial plan was actually the start and the inspiration for the European legislation, leading up to the fact that every member state of the European Union which is developing a marine spatial plan will have to do so in a certain European way. So this directive, which came about in 2014, explicitly states that it needs to be public consultation, that there needs to be a scientific base, but also that it has to take place into the framework of local, regional, national marine spatial plans all together. So there has to be an interaction and a dialogue between neighboring countries, which is explicitly foreseen also in the European directive, because of course the sea doesn't stop at your borders. What we're trying to do with our marine spatial plan is really to make sure that we clearly indicate who can do what, where in the sea. It has an effect not only on economic development, but also very clearly on ecological preservation or a restoration of parts of the North Sea. So it has taken into account also the impact on coastal communities, and the first plan was in place in 2014. It runs until 2020, and this is the reason why we are already starting the process of revising and renewing our marine spatial plan, for a very simple reason that we have national elections in 2019. Sometimes in Belgium, forming a government can take time, so we're taking no chances and we're starting the process right now already to make sure that by 2020 we have a plan in place. What you see here is actually what we have today. So we indicated here on this plan, the marine spatial plan, which is today in action. We indicated there what parts of the sea can be used for what types of activities. You will see there, for example, that because we are one of the most used sea routes, that we clearly indicated there which shipping routes are preserved. We also indicated which parts we wanted to preserve from an ecological point of view. We made sure that we protected also in international collaborations enough room in the North Sea. So, for example, we protected some sandbanks. We have also indicated other parts of the North Sea which are really off limits and we are preserving. But at the same time, we provide ample room for developments like fishery. We did the offshore wind farms. We are investing in aquaculture. We are still on the discussion, for example, to build an interconnectivity with the Netherlands when it comes to wind farms. So all these elements have been taken into consideration and ultimately lead up to the formation of this plan. What is crucial in our next round of planning is, of course, that we preserve things like the sea routes, that we also take into consideration environmental protection. We are currently also developing an action plan against plastics at sea, for example. We are discussing this at the Belgian level, but we're also having contacts with other European countries to make sure that we also have an integrated strategy. And as you all know, last week the United Nations launched also a call to collaboration to fight really these plastics at sea. And this is also something where we will be active in, and we will make sure that our knowledge and our best practices are being shared also at the international level. Renewable energy will also be a large part of the discussion. Is there still room for additional wind farms? After the presentation about the impact on fish, I'm not so sure, but we'll have to see how this also handles and how this also plays out, because all this knowledge that you're developing will also help us to make sure that we put in constraints or demands for actions when we, for example, allow further use of renewable energies at sea. So you see already at that moment there is a direct link with also the scientific community, because all this newly generated knowledge will feed into this process to make sure that we make the right decisions. Coastal protection will also be a very important discussion during the new marine spatial plan. Here we will look into the possibility of developing, for example, artificial islands before our coast, whether it makes sense or not, whether there's a cost-benefit analysis, not only from an economic point of view, but also from an ecological point of view. And I think at that moment your input will be more than welcome. Also, aquaculture will play a big part in the new marine spatial plan. We have a lot of demands for this, but up to now not very successful. So we're also looking in, let's first do some more research to see which parts of the sea can be more or less successful, what type of aquaculture can we provide and sustain in the North Sea, and how can we do this also in a sustainable way. All these elements will also again feed directly into the scientific community, and the feedback will be used to make also decisions at that level. What is crucial in the new marine spatial plan is, because the size of the North Sea, the Belgian part of the North Sea, is limited, we want to go for multifunctionality. We want to make sure that a part of the North Sea can be used for multiple tasks. And so we'll also be looking there to see how we can contribute by doing this also to the sustainability of the blue economy. So also there again, your input will be very much welcome. For example, to study the impact of certain types of activities on other activities, or which activities can be combined more or less successfully. This is a timeline that we foresee. So we started at the beginning of this year. We're going now into a consultation with the stakeholders. We had a kickoff meeting actually here a couple of weeks ago. So this is now ongoing. And once this is done, we will draft the first proposal during the summer, which then will be presented at the beginning of next year, again to the different ministers who also have a competence in the North Sea, to end up by hopefully before the elections of 19 with a full plan, which can then be put in action starting April 2020 by the new, hopefully then formed government. But there's also a bigger picture. I think that it is very clear that we're also looking beyond just, let's say, the 5 or the 10 next years. What I said is that I want to also make sure that the decisions that we're making now are framed in a larger picture. And so we, at the same time, we developed a parallel program which led to the North Sea Vision 2050. So we're asking all the scientific community, the different stakeholders which have activities at the North Sea, be it economic, be it ecological, be it from whatever point of view, we're going to bring them together. We brought them together already, and we're going to develop a long-term vision for the North Sea. And we're going to make sure that the marine spatial plan, different marine spatial plans, actually fit into that long-term strategy. So actually, my call here today is very simple. With this North Sea Vision 2050, which we kicked off at the end of last year, the scientific community really has a unique opportunity here in Belgium to contribute to this vision for the long term. You don't make a vision for the long term every year. So it's really a call here, also from my side, from the political side, to the scientific community, make use of this opportunity. This opportunity that we created, make sure that your best knowledge, your best people are giving input into this long-term vision to make sure that we can also make the right decisions for the long term for our North Sea, so that also there, you as a scientific community can continue to contribute to the well-being of our country and to the North Sea more specifically. So thank you very much for your attention and best of luck.